Good morning, everybody. As promised, um, told you I had some new business partners. We were going to try to do something different for you guys, as well as for ourselves. Um, the gentleman in West Virginia with BnC Radios, Larry Barton and his partner Chris, have saw fit to team up with my silly behind, and we decided we're going to come out with some brand new stuff made with brand new parts. Now, you guys are used to looking at my videos going, wait a minute, that stuff didn't come out the parts pile. No, it didn't, guys. We are now going to be manufacturing two things, at three things. We have our power supply line under the Evolution RF name. That is 409 radios and BnC radios. This is our first completed offering. We hope you guys are gonna dig it. This is a 100 amp power supply, and I would like to see some newer, some more features, some stuff to make these a little more, um, not, I don't want to say useful, stuff that I believe should be on every supply. It's cool, you little digital meter, that's wonderful, this, that, and the other. But we're trying to make something nicer, not reinvent the wheel, but maybe put some spinners on it. So here's our first offering. It's a 100 amp supply. It has several features that you guys probably aren't used to seeing on other stuff. This unit sports sag suppression for your voltage. It sports a full diagnostic display, giving you current, amps, load capacitance, load resistance, hours on the unit, energy and weight. And while maybe it sounds like a little bit of overkill for just a power supply, I think you guys will find that this thing is going to help you monitor and maintain whatever device that you're powering with a piece like this a little bit more efficiently. So this is what we did. In addition to the sag suppression, which we just added some nice, there's over 100,000 microfarads of storage in weight to keep this thing's voltage clean and stable. There's that section. Then we have a control circuit. When you turn this unit on, it doesn't go straight away 15 volts or whatever you guys like to prefer to set them at. We are setting these at 15.1. And biggest thing, you guys know a lot of stuff I build, I try to make it where A, it's serviceable, but B, where you can kind of watch what's going on. What I don't want to have to do with this kind of a device is constantly worry about if something goes awry, how much damage gets done to this piece, your supply. This supply is going to monitor for you. When you turn this bad fella on, for the first 7 to 10 seconds, you will not have voltage. Your display will come on. The control circuit, when you turn this on, will evaluate your load, check for shorts. If there's any kind of short or any kind of a heavy duty load on this device, it will not fully engage and turn completely on. We also have added RF suppression. Mostly when guys like us use a piece like this, we're using it to drive something like this, power something like this, a pill amp. Excuse me. The problem with that is there's RF there. Not all of this RF gets out your antenna jack, fellas. A nominal amount of it comes back, through any avenue it can find that's copper. Well, power coming in. None of us guys that are making these amplifiers are putting anything on there to keep RF from getting back out of this box into whatever. This unit has a 4-bank RF choke that is actually achieving two goals. The first thing it's doing is taking our 4 silver packs that you guys are used to seeing in all these supplies. There's nothing new there. We use the same kind of packs. However, let me say this. Those packs that you see over there next to my meter, these packs are not supplies. These are power supply components. That's the way I'm choosing to look at them. So we've taken those power supply components that everybody uses, and we've tried to make them a little smarter with the control circuit, with not letting any RF get back into your unit, with having a full display so you can see what's going on. So that's just a few of the things that we've added. Another thing that you can't see, but has also been added, is inside there are, like you'd see in an old tube amp, parasitic chokes. Why would I put those in here? Well, if you've got a cell phone and you're anywhere near your radio, I'm sure you guys have heard the tick 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 tick. That'll happen sometimes. That's loose ambient RF, whether you realize it or not. When you hear that tick 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 getting into your radio, oh, I got to move my phone. Okay, well that's well and good, but it's that kind of interference that I don't want to see saturate our circuit inside here. So in strategic areas, I've added parasitic chokes to try to just absorb those ambient signals and keep them out of our circuit. So there's a few of the things that we've done just to try to make this different. In our mind, I'm hoping a little bit nicer supply. So I'm gonna go over with you real quick how to run this bad fella. Um, for those of you who are used to seeing the traditional stuff we buy, big rocker switch or that big toggle switch. And a lot of times, not due to anything that I think anybody's doing wrong, it's just I don't think anybody who designed those packs were designed for LEDs. You guys buy these packs online, you see it says LED driver. Okay, well, an LED driver is, yes, it's making sometimes 30, 40, 50, depending on what size you bought. It's making that current at the voltage it says it will do. However, it's made to drive LEDs. It's not made to be perfectly clean to drive a radio, to get perfectly clean audio out of something like that. So back to the capacitors that we added, that's helping that. It's keeping the DC after those packs have made it. It's keeping that DC clean and stout. I guess you could call these features an aid to help those guys do their job more efficiently. There's a nice way to say it. So when you buy our 100, it's a PSU 100A. This is the company name. I think it's a pretty unit, and that was something else. We're used to seeing supplies built in something like this, and that's all well and good. Um, we've just never had any options. When you guys have seen me build stuff out of the parts pile, I try to make it look as nice as I can because we built it out of spare parts. Gentlemen, anything under this name is not going to be my rat rod stuff you're used to seeing on my channel. Don't get me wrong, I'm still building rat rods. That's how I have my fun. But it was time, after a few discussions about what's out there for us to use for this, that, and the other, that these gentlemen and myself decided, well, you're a pretty smart guy. You know what? You come up with the ideas. We'll help fund it. All of us will put our heads together and spit out what we can for the community. So here's our first offering, the power supply. This unit, and back to the power switch, you'll see this little toggle here. Some of you guys are looking going, that's not going to run that supply. You're absolutely right. It's not. It doesn't run the supply. This toggle turns on a section in the control circuit, which has its own sub-supply to do everything else that the packs don't normally do for you. So, no, gentlemen, this isn't turning on 100 amps of power. This is turning on a low voltage control circuit. On the back of it, what we've added is a main power, as you see here, and in the middle, this will be off. And up is normal power, normal operation, control circuit engaged, doing its thing. If for some reason, and this is just a precaution, for some reason our control circuit goes goofy because we added a feature or whatever, maybe something happened, whatever. We've made it where you don't have to rely on that section to be in here. You can flip this down and go to basically what we're used to using. A power supply without a control circuit. But in normal operation is going to be up. What we're calling limp mode is down. The switch above it, and we'll be using this switch during this demonstration, this is to test and make sure that our short protection is doing its job. Now, when I say that, I told you this thing will evaluate your load before it completely powers itself up. Also, while you are in tow, while you're sitting there getting it on at whatever power you're getting it on at, something happens. Your amp shorts, wire gets hot somewhere because we didn't have a nice tight connection, whatever. If this thing sees a short while it is in service, it will also, lightning fast, shut down. Not like you guys are used to seeing when the green light goes out on that thing. Well, now you got to pull whatever shorted it out. You got to pull it off. You got to unplug the pack, let it reset, plug the pack back in. What this control circuit does is eliminates you having to do this, that, and the other. You can figure out what's going on by flipping this switch, flipping that switch. So in route your supply your amp shorts. This supply doesn't just turn off the DC coming out of the back. It is literally shutting off the AC that's running those packs in an effort to minimize whatever damage gets done to those. Gentlemen, they do shut themselves off, but that circuit's taking a hit every time it shuts itself off. They only are going to do it so many times. So anything that we thought we could do to aid in prolonging the life of that power supply component is what we've done. So let's take a ride now. We're gonna power this thing. First, let's basic startup. You guys get this thing, you take it home, you plug it in, you put your device on. First thing you're gonna do is flip this switch back here to the up position. And what you'll notice is when you first do that, the supply comes on for just a second, even though this switch is off. Now you've seen it come on, you see the display go out. What it's just done is initialized itself. It's got all its baselines. It knows what it should be seeing. At that point, you're ready to go. When we turn this on, you're going to notice this display come on. You're not going to hear a fan. You're not going to see voltage yet. Because at that point, for the first 7 to 10 seconds, this thing's going, are you good? Are you good? Are you good? Everybody's getting along? Let's get down. So you turn this thing on. You'll notice no voltage, 0.07 volts. Now listen. Hear the click. Fan kicks on. Now, we're at 15.1 volts. The capacitance of our load, not keyed down right now, is 5.68. Our resistance, exit resistance, is at 100%. Now, while it may be a little hard to understand why we've got all this here, it's not necessary that you understand the theory of what every one of these numbers means. For the guys who are not so steeped in theory, this, that, and the other, whatever, don't understand what exit resistance, what the load capacitance, all that silliness is. You don't have to. All you've got to know is when you're running this thing normally, the numbers you're used to seeing, okay, and when those numbers deviate, you may be headed for trouble. An extra thing on this display, which I think is very cool, is this bar in the middle. It looks like a battery. This is your energy and weight. This is how much energy you have that's not been taken yet. So when you're used to running this supply, your amps, your current, you're going to be used to seeing a certain number. You will see a voltage drop, and I'm going to go through a quick thing on that in a second. Every supply has some sort of a voltage drop, either 123 volts, 0.123 volts. You're always going to see some sort of a drop. How severe that drop is going to depend on how well the supply keeps itself charged up, which most gentlemen that I understand aren't using caps or any kind of storage, sag suppression. We're used to using the boxes. We're used to putting a switch on it and relying on those boxes to carry the whole load and do everything for us. That's not going to happen in this one. So what we're going to do is, like I say, when you see these numbers deviate from the norm, you may have a problem. It's time to start watching your equipment. So the unit is on. It's nice and quiet. This fan, I'm going to go over here just real quick. I'll describe to you how we're keeping this thing cool. All of those packs, when you get them out of the box, have a fan on them. That's well and good. And all of us, when we built the traditional style of this, 4 packs of switch in a box, the fan usually will blow it in and pressurize that and get all the hot air out we can. What we've done on this unit is the packs are strategically placed where the fans are pointing in different directions to move air around inside this entire box. Warm air rises. Cool air will come in. There are fins on the back of this, or vents on the bottom back of this, letting our cold air come in. Those fans inside, when they reach whatever temperature, kick on, they start moving that cold air around. The cold air gets warm. Instead of blowing this in to try to blow all that out, warm air rises. We've got fans moving the air inside and drawing it from the back. What this one on top does is simply suck all that hot air out. It's already rising. So we're just aiding it, getting the flip out of our box. It's kind of a reverse forced air. And also, if I don't suggest you guys open these. If you got a problem with them, call us. But on top right here, around the top of our packs, is a gasket to focus the air up through the middle of all four packs. All this air, warm stuff it's pulling out from around here is getting centralized and pulled straight up through the top. That's how we design the fan circuit, the ventilation circuit. So let's look at how it works in operation. This is a typical 5-pill, nice little piece. You may hear, gentlemen, you've seen a million of my videos with power. I got a $6 headset. The phone I'm using is not the most high quality phone. You may hear some feedback into my $6 headset. It's got nothing to do with how clean whoever made this amp made it. However, us running it without a lid on it right now, there's a reason we're doing that, and that's got to do with why this amp is here. You can expect to get a little bit of feedback into a headset. So for you guys that like to go, nice and dirty, I hear the feedback. Okay, now look at why we're getting feedback into the headset. That being said, we have a 1,000-watt slug in the coaxial dynamics on the 1,000-watt scale on peak reading. That's 800 peak watts right there from 20-watt dead key. Now let's look at the display when we do what we do. You'll notice when you add a load to it, when we key the mic, well, now we start seeing numbers. Okay? Current is just that. Current. Voltage. Energy pertains to this bar. Now, get my finger out of the way, blurring up. Energy pertains to this bar. So when you're used to seeing from 15.1 to 14.9, 15.0, okay, well, that's what you're used to seeing. If your current starts to skyrocket and your voltage numbers start to plummet, you may have a problem. If you see this energy bar dipping in a manner that is not what it normally does during normal operation, you may have a problem. The other cool thing I like about this display is it's giving us our time on the unit. How many hours do you have on this unit? You typically see that in something for a commercial type of device, where it has to be serviced every so many hours, this, that, and the other. Does any of this make this supply work any better than anybody else's? No. Does the fancy paint job and cool ass face that I designed and put on it make it any more stout, reliable, cleaner? No. But gentlemen, I'm kind of tired of looking at it. And I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just what the people in the hobby are used to using at this point. Not everybody wants to stop and take 2-3 hours to come up with a cool little display to enhance, and that's all this is a visual enhancement. I like stuff that looks nice, and that comes from the fact that most of the stuff I build comes out of piles like that. Well, it's just been my habit to try to make it look as nice as I can. For you guys who are used to watching me, I started to say before, and now I'm going to say, you guys are used to watching me build nice stuff out of junk. Anything with this name on it is totally brand new. There is not a used part in this box anywhere. And when we designed it, we blew up a lot of nice brand new components designing it. So this is not a semi-used piece of equipment. It is not something that's along our rat rod line. You guys are getting a brand new piece of equipment designed and assembled here with, unfortunately, globally sourced components, because things aren't what they should be right now. And whether you like our president or not, the truth is we need to make our own stuff here, and I'm going to stop there. Hopefully one day I'll live long enough to see everything that goes in this box made here where we live. That being said, we've still managed to give you a very nice piece of equipment with what we have at hand. This unit is our prototype. The paint job on this one is a little bit fancy. All of these power supplies are going to look pretty much identical to this. This one was painted at a body shop by my buddy Joe Shalacy. He owns Joe's Auto Body in Park Forest, Illinois. He provided the materials. the time and labor, so that our first offering could be something that gets your eyeballs. You don't close your eyes and go ask a girl for a date. You're going to look at her first, gentlemen. We just wanted it to look nice. Okay, that's what that's about. Keep in mind, when you guys buy these, they will be the same color scheme, same red, white, and blue color scheme. That's what's going to be on our radios. I haven't decided how we're going to do it on our amps yet, but our power supplies and radios are primarily going to be made in this case. Larry and Chris at BnC Radios designed this case primarily for our radios. We weren't planning on doing this kind of silliness yet when we got into, let's make our own base station, which is coming. Sit on your hands, be patient. If you think the stuff I built out of the parts pile is cool, well, you see a brand spanking new 10-meter base station that comes out of this place with all brand new goods, with 2, 3, 4 radio operators designing it and building it for the rest of us radio operators. And that's I think that's going to be one of our slogans: designed and built by radio operators for radio operators. Um, Red, white, and blue, American Flag. You're going to see that consistently in every piece. We are sending this guy down to Rooster in Tennessee. If you are not a subscriber to his channel, do so. We are doing this for a third-party perspective, and we didn't just ask him, hey, check our supply out. We also told him to put it up against every other supply that he's got in his stable that he peddles, whoever it is. I'm not going to say names, but the other guys who make these supplies. And I'm not trying to pick on nobody. I want to know if what we've done is up to snuff. The supplies that we're traditionally used to building have been getting us by. They've been doing their job with some hiccups along the way, like power switches going out. Don't know why a fuse is blowing here, there, and often not. My primary concern with building the way we used to build them is when you turn that switch on, that honking switch, well, that honking switch is hitting them 4 packs in a 100 amp unit, and you guys hear the grunt. We don't have that here, because one of the features that's in this power supply is the control power supply, which is giving us all of our protection. When this unit is off, that supply is still on. That's part of how the protection circuit is designed. Since that supply sits there on all the time, when you shut this off, it toggles a minute amount of power and diverts it to that cap bank, so that when you turn this thing on, the caps aren't undervolted. They're not below 876 volts, and that dramatically helps in our power up grunt. I just don't know how else to explain it. You hear the grunt, you hear the you hear the case go ding. Sometimes you don't hear that with this. The caps are already charged up to full voltage, so when you turn this thing on, it's just basically going, okay, let's go to work. It doesn't close its eyes and go, okay, hit the switch, because it knows it's going to hurt for a second. What's turning this unit on is a 60 amp 3-pole relay. Each pole rated at 60 amps a pop. Typically, we're used to building these supplies and putting a 30 amp toggle switch on there to fire the AC to the packs. We didn't do that. What we have is the control circuit being actuated by a nice, dainty, classy looking little toggle switch. And then the control circuit goes, all right, all my relays, all my big guys, it's time to go to work. Turns the relays on, supply becomes functional. At that, I think that's a pretty good overview of how it does, what it does, why it does what it does. The other thing I want to kind of show is, and I've heard tell of I've had way different experiences, or tell of way different experiences about what you should expect to see in voltage drop. The first thing, let me say, is this is not a $2, get it from eBay, slow sampling 3-digit voltmeter like we are used to using. This is in real time. The very instant that this thing sees a voltage sag, it's going to tell us. The very instant the current goes up, down, left, right, we're going to see it. Okay, where typically I don't believe we're seeing an accurate voltage drop with the budget 3-digit voltmeters. I don't believe they sample fast enough. So in that sense, in a minute sense, they're really not. They might be accurate for the number they're showing you, but they're not running the race and giving you real time. It's a slower sampling type deal. I don't appreciate that, so we didn't use that. I've used them in the past. We're not going to use that anymore. I would rather have see you guys have something nice with multiple functions in being monitored at the same time. And once again, this is going to make it easier for you to keep an eye on your equipment. It's protecting itself from shorts and protecting you once you learn how to use this display from maybe letting that amp go completely to a shorted state. When these pill amps start to go bad, unless you've just accidentally drove it straight into a bad load, it's rare that it's an instant pop, the amp is bad. A lot of times if you can, and we've never been able to, watch your current draw. This thing starts to take off and draw excess current. Perhaps we've got a transistor getting soft. Perhaps a power cable maybe has not got the best connection anymore. You have multiple baselines to keep track of what you have going on. That's the bottom line. Let's look at price. I know you guys are looking at this going, well, that thing's got to be expensive. Well, okay. Typical 100 amp supply, my understanding, anywhere from 530, 540, all the way up close to $600. Well, I don't know the exact number hammered down as this is it yet. I can tell you it's not going to be much more than maybe $40, $50 more. Delivered, I'm hoping we're still discussing that. I think, Larry, we're going to try to get them delivered in that price range. Shipped to you for that extra $40 or $50. But for that extra $40, $50, look at everything else you're getting to properly enjoy your equipment, maintain your equipment. Look, guys, if one of these doesn't completely get dead shorted out, there's a lot less work to do to bring it back. That's just common sense. When you see these numbers getting out of kilter on something you run every day, it's time to stop and take it to whoever you trust to do your work. So that's it. This is it. We're going to send it to Rooster. We're not expecting him to look at it and go, it's a nice looking supply and give us props for that. While my pet peeve is physical appearance. Bottom line is, no matter how pretty it is, pretty doesn't feed the bulldog. Chrome don't get you home, guys. You car guys, you've heard that a million times. None of this gives us any more power. None of this makes it any cleaner on the output as far as the physical, what you see. It's everything we've put inside, and that's what I want Mr. Rooster to evaluate. Did we build something that is just going to be more conducive to help us better maintain the very expensive pieces of equipment that we're all sitting here playing with? So, that being said, this is, you're going to see it on Rooster's channel soon. Hopefully with a favorable word from him. We trust his honesty. I trust his knowledge and his experience, and that's the way I picked this fight. I'm the one that said, Rooster, I want you to compare it against. I told Larry, tell Rooster, anybody that's selling one, if he's got one on hand, put it up against it. Not for a drag race, but to really better evaluate, did we cut the mustard? That's the bottom line. Aside from that, we tried to make a video last night and it didn't fare well. But I made sure I said it last night. I'm gonna make sure I say it today. These gentlemen in West Virginia have trusted me with a lot. So Larry's sitting over here. You gonna get mad if I put you on camera? Can you wave to the people there? Larry, say hi. Larry Barton, BnC Radios, West Virginia. Larry, thank you for trusting me with your money and trusting in my knowledge. I think we've delivered something worth having. So, gentlemen, 7-3s, be blessed. If you aren't subscribed to Rooster's channel, not only for this, go subscribe to the man's channel. You're going to learn something. And if you don't, you're not watching hard enough. Guys and gals, 7-3s, be blessed. Keep your fingers crossed. I'm either going to get a black eye or we're gonna have something for you guys. I believe it's going to be just fine. So, this is it. Walk with it. And when they're, as soon as, and something else, these will not be, you guys that are used to dealing with me, retail sales in my shop have stopped. I am now gearing my efforts towards research and development for the Evolution company. And we are still building the rat rods, and those will be available as I build them. You guys, that's cool, how much for it? Whatever. But as far as, especially for this line, you will have to go to BnC Radios in West Virginia. I know Rooster sells brand new stuff. Hopefully, he'll be impressed with enough to maybe keep one or two around for you. Bottom line is, though, you will have to contact a retailer. It's not going to be me anymore. Something else as far as my shop goes, gentlemen, we're really not doing straight up repairs anymore. If you guys have a unit that you want to see live, you're gonna have a couple options. One is going to be a complete electronic functional restoration, making it as healthy as it could be functionality wise. I don't know if that's the proper way to say it, but you get what I mean. The other thing is going to be a full blown restoration. If you got, we are still doing our Super Duty conversions. We are still doing all those silly little things you guys like to see us do. On another side note, the Super Duty conversion has now been elevated to one more level. There's going to be a video on that new 2000 coming out, and it is going to be the final version of that Super Duty conversion. We've added a few more things to it, and that's it. There's only so much we can do to a Cobra 2000 or anything else to make it more worth having. Also, though, with that Super Duty conversion for the 2000s, we are going to offer it as a kit. You guys are going to be able to buy the kit, and if you think you're confident enough in your skills, you can buy the kit from us, and we'll help you, give you support installing the kit. It's just another way for me to. I don't want to say it the wrong way, but there's a few things I had to do to be able to do this. Okay, you guys remember when I got bogged down with 40 some odd custom radios to build because I wasn't paying attention? I said it in one of my videos. I'm a bench monkey. I am not an administrator. That's what I got these gentlemen helping me out for also. It's a very wise man who's helping me do all this stuff. And I appreciate everything he says to me because he's making me more palatable for you guys. Some of you will appreciate that. Some of you that like my crudeness are going to go, well, that's not, whatever. Doesn't matter what you think of me. All I care about is what you think of what's coming off my bench and what we are offering to you guys so that we can all keep having fun doing what we're doing. And once again, I'm going to say it again, as I said in another video, guys, this hobby started off with people like us, but back when this hobby started off, guys like us worked on a lot of our own stuff. You gentlemen have never heard me discourage you from playing with your equipment. Get a screwdriver in one hand, soldering iron in one hand, whatever, and your microphone in the other. Guys, start learning. Let's get back into making this hobby what made it cool to begin with. No, we can't go buy a Heath kit and put it together anymore. But you can call 409 Radios and get a Super Duty conversion to put it in your 2000. Times have changed, but the hobby, we are all stewards of this hobby. We are all responsible for maintaining whatever history is left. So you guys that like to go find a nice DAC and immediately want to gut it and put a 10-meter chassis inside the other in it, I'm going to ask you guys not to do that. If you guys get a DAC that works, granted, we know when a DAC works, it's a very nice radio. When a DAC don't work, you gut it. Stop gutting them before they need to be gutted. Let's try to maintain and preserve a certain amount of this for the guys who are coming after us. And that's just my request to everybody. And once again, put a soldering iron in one hand and your microphone in the other. Get more vested in understanding what you're playing with. There are people getting taken advantage of because you don't know what you're paying for, guys. And nobody's ever called this shop. Anybody will tell you, I will stop what I'm doing and try to help you understand whatever it is you want to understand. So we all need to become smarter. We all need to become more active in producing, maintaining, while we're having fun with this equipment and preserve it for the next generation coming around. So once again, Larry, thank you. I'm glad you guys are my partners. I'm glad this is our first out. I'm impressed. That doesn't mean nothing to you guys, but I'm freaking impressed. I love it. I will. This one, I think, is going to Uncle Larry over there. He deserves the first one. The next one, you guys aren't going to see that thing on my bench for much longer. Pretty soon you're going to see one of these because this is what we all should be using. That's my opinion. Be blessed, 7-3s, and we will catch you when we catch you.